All right, welcome to Fine Arts and Friends, where I interview creatives in the Austin area to talk about their creative process, obstacles, and other challenges that they face. Today, I am interviewing Chris Tobar. Thank you for being here on the show today.
Appreciate you having me.
Heck yeah. And I'm going to give you all a quick rundown about who he is. So Chris Tobar is a distinguished artist and designer based in Austin, Texas. He serves as the creative director of Toco Studios and Creators Who Wonder, where he has been pushing the boundaries of design for over a decade. Tobar is celebrated for his eye-catching branding and collaborations with top-tier artists on prestigious exhibitions. Tobar's work is marked by bold colors, striking typography, and innovative imagery. Constantly experimenting with new techniques and styles, he ensures his creations remain fresh and groundbreaking. A passionate advocate for diversity and inclusion in the arts, Tobar is dedicated to using his platform to promote the work of underrepresented artists. Tobar was the creative director of Color, where he has played a pivotal role in shaping the organization's vision and impact. As a curator, he has hosted numerous shows across Austin, including events at Rich's Art like Comic-Con, I Feel Like Kanye, Of Color's Black Art Weekend, Latino Art Weekend, and Sneak Art Show at 2324. His influence extends beyond Austin, with his work featured in renovated shows from Art Basel exhibition in Orlando, New York, LA, and Chicago. Tobar's notable projects include the branding and curation of South by Southwest Black Futures House and the music I Feel Like Ye and Bay's music and art experience. Through his impactful journey, Tobar has made a lasting mark on the art and creative industries, continuously inspiring others with his innovative and inclusive approach. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for letting the audience know that whole entire thing.
Yeah,
I find bios to be very interesting.
Yeah.
And like introductions of yourself to like people that you know, but also to new people.
Yeah.
Is like, do you start off to be, let me just show you all the things I've done? Or do you just say like, oh, I'm really cool.
Right.
Just believe
it's
me.
It's like which one? Which one? And it's like how long are they, how long are they going to be there to either understand everything that I just said or be there physically and actually see everything that you're doing. Exactly. So you do a lot.
Yeah.
You're one of the people who you're always doing something.
Yeah.
Whether it be on some design stuff, whether it be on this new art innovative project, whether it be making your own actual artwork,
Yeah.
You stay busy.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Way too busy sometimes.
Way too busy?
Way too busy, but I'm like super grateful that I am busy to create these like things for myself, like, which is really dope. Like, like there's so many things that you can create and you can always stay busy. Like if your idea is not working over here, you can do this other idea over here. And like they sometimes like meld together. Okay. Which is like dope. But I don't know why I do that to myself, I'll be honest. Like a lot of people ask me like, why are you always so busy?
Yeah. Is it ambition or is it just like a natural drive that you have or are you just that excited? Is it excitement that drives it?
I think it might be excitement.
Okay.
I think it is. Like I don't want to say it's like I'm trying to prove anything to anybody. It's just like it's a natural excitement for me to like go create these things, to do these things and just to keep doing them again and trying to innovate on them. It's like sometimes I feel like I'm a scientist.
Okay.
Like I'm trying to like, all right, I did something. Now how can I do it better? Yeah. But not like stress myself out from the next time I do it.
I see. Well, I have to ask, what's current in your life right now? What are you currently working on?
Where do you want to start?
The lab.
Where do you want to start?
Wherever you would like to start. Wherever you would like to start. You could take it at any point, at any angle.
Okay. Let's see. So right now, I'm currently, I think my biggest focus is like two things. It's like, or three things, or four, or five. No, but really it's like, one, it's building my like creative studio, like my design studio up. And like focusing on that and like doing the work that I like to find purpose in helping like my clients evolve their work into and evolve from that. So that's been a lot of fun, but it's also been challenging. Yeah. Very challenging. And then other thing that I'm doing is like resetting myself from like being this like artist that's also a curator and like kind of like separating them a little bit. Okay. So I can like focus on art. Like I want to do some art for myself, like, and not have like I feel like you as an artist, sometimes we always have like this like overall, what do we have to make for someone? How do we have to impress people? Like it's like a single, like do I have to put a single out? I see. But yeah, those things. And then
I feel like for each single you drop, you be dropping albums, which are your shows. Like I feel like every time you've made a piece, you've also thrown a show. Yeah. Yeah. Which is amazing in one aspect,
Yeah.
but also like you said, you're trying to separate the two.
Yeah.
So what do you think that looks like for you personally?
Personally, for me, I think it's a thing where, as an artist, like there's work that I want to create, like a body of work that I want to create that I want to spend time with. I want to work on these characters. I want to work on this color palette. I want to work on these patterns. I want to build a world around these characters versus, when you're in a show, like if I curate a show, like a theme show, it's a theme. You have an entry point, you have an exit point for that show. So like it's a theme show, it's a sneaker show, design around sneaker culture. If it's a music show, design around that musician. So like those things I'm kind of separating because like I want those things to kind of be their own thing. And I want to be able to like make some art that's just my thing. I want to work on it. I want to share it when I want to share it. And if I don't feel like sharing this like album or mixtape for however long, then I will. But yeah, I've been at this for like a while, so this has been my constant challenge for myself.
You're taking it from doing the whole, like you're separating the two just so you can have your personal freedom and your personal artistic freedom.
Yeah.
And your artwork versus the shows can be like whatever theme they are.
Yeah.
And they don't have to overlap.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, like the shows for me, like I'm only putting on the shows truthfully for my excitement. Like I am a fan of that thing.
Yeah.
Versus like I'm just doing an art show just to be a gimmick.
I see.
I don't want to do. I get it. There's like pop culture and there's like time to kind of like pop in and like do this idea and create a show around it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to do that. Like I want to continue to try to do my best to like put on art shows that are going to be an experience, but also be an experience for like the artists that I invite to be in the show. Like whenever I want to put on a show, like, hey, just make this, Daryl, just make this quick painting. I don't really care. Just put a painting in here. I just want you in the show because you're dope.
Yeah.
And I know that you're going to bring in people and your work is amazing and it speaks volume. But like, I also want to like challenge you as an artist to like, hey, I want you to be in this show. I want you to like kind of think about this piece, like, the Beyonce piece, like you're in the Beyonce show.
Which was a dope show, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That like, I want each artist like to challenge yourself to rethink about how they look at that song, how they hear that sound without it being like, oh, here, let me put Beyonce because she's popular and she's trendy. She's always going to be that. But like, in the moment, like there's a lot of hype. So like, I think doing that allows when the work is gone after the show that you can still be connected to that piece to where like you can show it in many places. You can sell it, more versus just being like, oh, I was listening to the show and, I just threw some stuff in there. I had a bunch of random pieces that I had at home and I just sprinkled this in there. And it's like, no, I don't want that. Like,
I will say that about your I Feel Like series, it's dope because, and this is for the audience in case they don't know, what he did was he chose an artist. So for the show, it was Beyonce, and it was I Feel Like Beyonce, and that was the name of the show. And every artist who was a part of the show pretty much got a song that was a Beyonce song, and they made a piece of artwork based on their interpretation of the song. I got Nile. That piece I made for the show sold.
Yeah.
So like that was like, and for me, it was cool for me as an artist because I did feel challenged. You know, I usually make work a little bit differently. And so I was like, okay, what's this song mean? I'm over here. I love music anyway. So I'm over here, music on, just listening. Like, okay, what imagery am I getting? Okay, I'm understanding this. I'm understanding this part. How can I represent it? So I just wanted to give you your flowers there and tell you that it was a dope experience as a creative.
Yeah. No,
in that show.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm glad that it was like challenging, but it was also like, it pushed you to like explore and play with a new like concept into your work. Because you're already listening probably to music while you're working. And a lot of times, sometimes that's influencing that. So like, yeah, I just, that's just really dope. I'm glad that you sold it. It's kind of crazy. We sold a lot of pieces in this show, which was awesome. So yeah.
Heck yeah. You stated earlier in trying to balance everything, and we will talk about balance, but not just yet. But you did say that you face some challenges, so like I'm just curious on what they are if you feel like sharing.
I say the biggest challenges is like creating boundaries for yourself to like create within. It's like if I wake up in the morning, I want to wake up in the morning and like sometimes I want to work on a design piece for a client because I know that's going to pay quicker and a little bit faster versus if I work on an art piece, I got to tell the story. I got to kind of sell you on it to then it be something that can rinse and repeat after a while.
I see.
And then like, the shows, I get like super passionate. I'm waking up, I'm working on client work. I'm working on a little bit of personal work. also trying to take care of myself. Like, I can't sit in front of a computer all day. I can't sit in the studio all day. Like, I need to walk around. I need to move. I need to, like, you know, make sure I take nurture like myself. So all those things kind of sometimes like overlap, and then sometimes I don't feel like I get kind of lost in things. Okay. In the sauce of like, oh, I'm creating this, I'm creating that, I'm creating this, I'm creating that. By the time I know it, and by the time I take a breath of fresh air, like I'm like, oh, wait, did I do that right? Then I question myself, and it's like, okay, cool, like, okay, yeah. So I honestly, what it is for me, it's like, I get super excited to like build all the things that I'm building, and I do that because I'm getting to push myself, but also I'm getting to push. I'm trying to push like myself as a Black and Hispanic man, like to break barriers and do something different, which I feel like, you know, like I feel like we get like stereotyped, and sometimes in a way it's like, oh, well, you're Hispanic, or no, you're Black, so you gotta act that way. And I've always been kind of looked at that from like that point of view ever since I was a kid, because like I don't act super Black, I don't act super Hispanic, I don't know what the hell I am. I'm a creator alien. I don't know, something like that. I don't know.
Said, I'm a creative in a body,
and I'm a creative in a body. Yeah, there you go. No, but all this stuff. It's like it sometimes can be really, what it boils down to. It can be really challenging trying to balance it all. Okay. And then trying to like also execute consistently the same way all the time. Yeah. You know, like that's why the main reason why you asked me, like, so like me separating me as an artist versus me doing shows, like shows can be like very production heavy, but production, you can find people to help you execute those, because you give everyone a role, they execute those roles, they make it happen. People come to your show, people enjoy the show, people leave the show, you clean up, you go home, you go sleep, or you go to an after party, whatever it is. For me as an artist, it's like, you know, I don't want to get too sensitive to the thing that like, oh, I beat myself up because it wasn't perfect, even though it was like amazing. Like everyone had a great time, everyone was smiling, everyone was like enjoying themselves. But like as like a creator, like as an artist, I just want to separate myself, so that way like I can have my moments to like create those visions and stay within those visions and have fun with that. And if I don't feel like being a creator, like an outside creator or like loud voice artist, I can calm down. I can go there and be that. If I want to be like out there in a scene and showing off and like, you know, like putting on a show, you can't just like put on a show and just like go home. You have to like go network. You have to go vibe out with other people. You got to support other people. You can't be asking people to come to your show and then like you don't go to anyone else's show. Yeah. Like you need to do that. So, I mean, it's like a give and take. Even though a lot of the creators, sometimes we all get a little busy, but I think I'm going on a tangent from what like
you're good. 'Cause it's a good tangent. I was gonna let you go. So real quick, I want to loop back around, and then we're gonna catch back up to where you are. Okay. The main thing is having boundaries within all of your roles, and it seems like you're allowing your creation artist side a space of play. Like there's like you're keeping play in that area as a safe space for your artists. Your inner artist. And then for your curator side, you're more so on the side of, okay, how can I make this happen? How can I delegate these roles to make sure everything goes smoothly? And then also, how do I network this? How do I connect with other people so people, one, show up, two, people have a good time, three, make sure it's a dope event all around, right? Yeah, man. I wonder, do you have any tips for people who are, because you mentioned a very good thing, is a very good point. Like if you are trying to host any event, you got to show up for other people. Yeah. You know, you have to be present. That's a part of networking. Yeah. But like, do you have any other tips as well for someone who might, you know, they're like, oh, I want to throw this event, it's going to be a dope time, but they don't even know where to begin. Yeah. You have any tips for people?
Good question.
You can take your time. It's okay. Yeah. Put you on the spot.
Let me go look at. No, it's fine. Honestly,
that's me.
Honestly, I made my biggest tip to putting on a show and like just creating this thing is like, at least like I go every time I've lived anywhere or I've been anywhere, I always like go find the person that's making the thing, already moving the city, moving the scene, the energy of the scene. And it's almost kind of like paying respect to what's already there and then adding to it.
I see.
Versus like, I'm coming in, no one's doing this. Then you go around the block, oh shit, everyone was doing this damn same thing. I
Yeah.
thought I had a unique thing. No, it's just like, go out there, support others, network. You know, there's like so many numerous things that you can do. There's so many entry points into this because like I do so many things. Like I can present the show, I can build majority of the show, I can then design all the materials like the ads and advertisement, which is like so important. That's one thing I would say. Advertise your show.
Okay.
Advertise it.
Yeah.
Tell people. Don't just tell your friends to come. Tell everybody. And like I say this because like there's a lot of times where like there's a lot of really dope artists, but they only invite their friends and they only tell people in the outside world the last minute. Like, hey, I got this show. Oh, damn. Like,
Yeah.
well, I already decided that this weekend I'm gonna take off and not hang out with humans
Yeah.
because I've been trying to like keep a balance. So like I would say, you know, giving people a heads up and reminding people.
Yeah.
And personally invite people like, hey, pick up the phone or email them or DM them like, hey, I really would love you to come to my show.
Yeah.
Like, I love what you're doing in the community. I just love who you are. I like what you do. I like your work. Even if they don't show up, I mean,
Yeah.
at least you did that. And at least they know it because they'll probably see it at some time if they don't see it right away. But the least they'll know, and next time they see you, they'll ask you about your show and they'll have a conversation with you about what you're doing, and maybe that might spark something up that might be to come into another project that you
100%.
can continue building what you're doing instead of just like, oh, I just did one art show. Cool.
Because
So,
that carries on beyond the show, beyond the actual event.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you for the
Yeah.
tips. I want to talk about more so that the world that you are creating with your artwork, the characters.
Yeah.
Is that Creators Who Wonder? Is that series?
Yeah. So
You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, here's the thing: Creators Who Wander is technically going to be what is going to be used. It's like two ways. It's two things. It's still art for me, but that's gonna be like more of my production side. Like, oh, I'm gonna
okay.
produce through Creators Who Wander.
Okay.
Like my art shows. I want to do workshops. I want to do community building stuff. Like where like I invite like 10, 20 artists to come out and we either brainstorm together or like it's, I don't know, we go on a hike together or, something that's outside of our normal realm, but you get the bond as creators. I feel like there's so much importance around community.
Yeah.
Like that's like the biggest thing. So I'm not originally from Texas. I'm not originally from Orlando, where I came from before this. I'm originally from Chicago, but I've moved around a lot. Every time I moved to a new school or a new place, like I kind of just made new friends. And I constantly made new friends, and I continue to make new friends to where it gave me this skill set, which inspires Creators Who Wander. It's like, like I'm always meeting people, and I'm sometimes meeting the same people in new cities.
Really?
So I'm meeting a variation of like a friend that I've met.
Okay.
So I'm just like, oh shit, like, man, like we're all out here. We're all like on this journey, and Creators Who Wander is gonna be that. Like, it's just gonna be purely like just production, curation, workshops, maybe a podcast, maybe maybe I might do like a coffee table book where I'm curate. Maybe I might like do like a tour. I don't want to like say too many things, but like stuff like that. Like, but like even like the music events, like those things, like that's what that's gonna be under. So like these characters that I'm building that belong to that series, I want them to represent personalities of the brand.
Okay.
Like I want to build a world. Like look at Disney. Look at really Disney. You look at like all like the Cartoon Networks. You look at all these character building, Rick and Morty, all this stuff, the Boondocks. Like if you look at it, like they built a world within itself to where like they can continue staying in the world and having fun and poking fun at each other. And I feel like I love that. That's the thing I've loved so much about like the cartoons, the shows that I've watched, the movies I've watched, the reasons why some of us are like fans and we connect with each other because like, yo, like, did you see that movie? Oh shit, like I love this personality. Oh, I love that personality. I like that character. Like everyone's got their favorite character. I want to build something around that. So like this is the beginning of that. Like
Okay.
How it's gonna play out, who knows? Like I don't want to like say too much, but like that's the plan. And then allowing me to like create these side quests of characters and artwork and body of work that maybe those characters kind of extend to.
Yeah.
That is a gateway to like, hey, like I get you maybe don't know who I am, but you like my characters or you like that character. Hey, maybe you should come over to this and be invited to this thing, or maybe you're, so I want to like connect with people through my art. So where it's like not just like, oh, here's a really dope painting on your wall. No, like that painting is like a secret gateway into like a whole entire world of things. It's like, like NFTs kind of felt like they were going to be that world for a lot of us. And it still is for a lot of people. I just felt like, it was just like such a very like only digital world.
Yeah.
I want to like see how can I be digital and I can be physical in a physical world of like creating these like elements and stuff. So like that's what that is for me. Like that's what it's going to be. That's probably my main focus would be outside of the studio would be those two things. So that way, like when I do create shows, like and I do build things, like it's around that. I can focus on one thing because I do find myself focused on way too many things. I'm helping out over here, helping out over there, helping out over here. And I never like, that's one thing I wish I learned earlier is like to really focus on yourself. Like put that energy into your craft, like build it for yourself and share it with the world. You know, it's like music. Like no one's, a lot of people are recording music and not sharing it, but like a lot of people that record music, share it out there and see how people feel, and then if it's going well, they maybe might make a little bit more music around that sound and build a world around that. So that way they can build, audience for them. So that way they can continue doing what they love. Like,
absolutely.
And I feel like that for me, this is what I loved, and I love. So not loved.
That's what I used to like.
That's something I used to like, back in the day, about 2 seconds ago.
But I think that's wonderful. I think it's a wonderful name. I just realized I used the Creators Who Wonder. It's wonderful. Anyways, I think it's a really good name, and like with the duality of it being something that you can use for community engagement and also for like your own personal artwork. I think that's dope, and I think that it sets you up, like you said, to create characters based off of like the interactions that you're seeing. I think that's wonderful because especially that part where you said, I want it to be more than just I sold a painting. Yeah. It's so easy to be like, oh, I sold a painting, never talk to that person again. Yeah. Versus it being like, yo, I sold a painting and this is season 1, episode 3. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like it tells a story. And I think that's it's a wonderful thing that you're doing, and you're creating one in the real world, and you're creating little timestamps and timepieces that can be shared in real time with real people. So I think that's dope.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. And you also touch based on this is good. You also touch based on like doing too much, for other people, maybe other entities versus like yourself. I think a lot of creatives struggle with that as well. Or I guess when I wouldn't say I'm at the point that you're at in your creative journey. I feel like I do a lot, but I'm not doing all the type of things that you're doing. Two different people, But I also deal with burnout, So I feel like it's good to try to place boundaries when you understand that you're doing maybe too much for either a certain entity versus like what you need to do for yourself.
No, I think it's so important. Like burnout is like 100% real, and it comes in many different forms. Like you might be doing something that you just do every day. You're not excited to do it, but you just do it because it's such a routine because you've just been doing it. That I think sometimes I think it's like good to have an awareness that like, hey, maybe I need to take a break from this. And not just communicate it to yourself, but maybe communicate it to an outside. I don't want to call like, if I tell you that I'm like, oh, I'm gonna not do this right now, I'm gonna go over here and do this. It's more of like an accountability. It's like I said that I was gonna do this, and for me, I want to be a man of my word. Of like, oh, I'm not gonna do this right now for a little bit. I might come back later. I don't ever want to close the door completely. But I think like, the burnout of like just doing so much and not being happy with what you're doing. Like I think life is so short. Like enjoy what you're doing in this very moment. Just absolutely. Have fun with it. Enjoy it. Live it up. And if you feel like you need a break, take a break. Do what you have to do. And then come back and share with us what your journey was like. Because I think we're all living through each other. Like everyone else's adventure, we're like, oh shit, you had burnout in that way? Oh man, I never saw burnout that way. Thank you for sharing that because I was feeling that way. But because I heard your story or I read your post, like I feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel versus like, oh man, I'm just gonna go down a spiral and that affects different people. People like might start doing drugs that like cope. Might start drinking more might just like all like different types of things. Like there's all different forms of it. But
and that's where community can be involved in what as well. Like you said, like it's important to have a team where, you know, if you are facing burnout, you can, hey, you know, things have been really heavy for me lately. I need to just take a day off, and your team could be like, okay, we totally understand. Whatever task you needed to do, we got you. You know, you go handle you, or maybe it's not even that. Maybe it might be a test that you kind of have to do, and no one else knows how to do it.
Yeah,
and they'd be like, it's not that big of a deal to get it done today. Take the day off, get it done when you can. You know.
Yeah. But also the thing that you can't do that I'm learning that maybe you have to do is like this teaching someone else what you do. So that way, like
are you saying you can't teach others, or
no, I'm saying that's what I'm learning how to do. It's like
okay.
During that burnout phase, like, oh, I have to do this thing because I'm the only one knows how to do and how to put this puzzle together. It's like teaching someone else, you know, sharing your knowledge with someone else. That way, like if that happens, you can ask that person like, hey, do you want to step in and do this? Because then you don't ever feel like, it doesn't always feel like it's always on you.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah. And that's building other people up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Cool. I think that was a great little conversation about burnout. I'm going to move on to the next thing. I'll be trying to make these things smooth transitions, but.
Nah, you're doing a great job.
I
really do. I really like, I think keeping it like natural and like honest is what I've enjoyed so far about listening to the show. It's like, and just having a conversation with you. It's just like keeping it honest and real. Like, I feel like sometimes there's too many cuts that those little pieces are like, oh shit, cool. That person's just like me. Like I can relate to you. Yeah. Like relatability is like, it makes it feel comfortable to like have a conversation and sit down.
Thank you.
And stuff. So
yeah. That's been a goal. I want this, I want this show to be something that creatives can, I want this to be like a self-help book. For creatives. If there's a creative that's like, I don't know how to throw a workshop, they could listen to Steve's episode about throwing workshops. Or if I don't know how to throw a show or how should I get started, they can listen to this one. Yeah. I'm dealing with burnout, you know, they can listen to this one and take some feedback. So yeah, I'm trying to make it as easy as possible. And I appreciate your feedback.
No, definitely.
We got a review in the middle of the show, y'all. Yeah. So you and I have talked a lot in the past about reframing the art experience with it being more of like a party social outing versus it being an experience where art lovers purchase art. Yeah. You're kind of already doing it now. Mm-hmm. Do you have any ideas of what steps probably we as a community could take to like reframe it? So versus it being, I'm gonna just go to this art event just to get drunk and like have a good show, to it being like, oh, I really love some art, and they leave with art pieces, like the differences. I think this, trying to think how to say this. Yeah. Because I really feel like it's not always on the artist, but I also do think it's on the curator or more the host, because maybe it's some bar that's like, yo, I really love art and I really want my people to buy art, but the only way to get art in here in this setting is like having them here while having like a DJ loud as fuck. So, can I curse on here? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. I checked the little explicit mark. Okay, cool. Cuss as much as you want. All right. Let it all out. I want you to buy some. Nah. No. I really find it that it's, for me, what I feel is a problem and a possible solution, because I don't want to say I have every single answer or anything, is that I think like as the venue, as the curator, as the host, if you're going to have music there and you're going to have art there, you need to separate the two. Like having the artists in the room where it's way too loud for them to like tell an idea or sell anything can be overwhelming for the artists, because a lot of artists are like, you know, like they can be a little sensitive. They're like trying to sell this idea. They've been working on their version of their own character or their own storyline that like is coming from them that they want to share, but it gets really overwhelming trying to like sell this idea to some drunk, like, oh, I just like it. That's gonna go perfect over my couch. Like, that's great. That's gonna go in my bathroom. Yeah, I'll pay $10,000 for that. Okay, cool, but like still like. That experience makes a lot of artists not want to show back up to those places. Yeah, they might do it once or twice just to like, you know, see and test and
try out different things and different audiences. But like, I feel like, some of these art shows, when it goes back to art shows, I think the music is just too loud.
Okay.
For the environment. Like, allow the artists to like speak, allow the artists to share their stories in that moment. I feel like when artists get to share their stories of, they've worked so hard, maybe they've been working on this show for like 6 months, and then they get there and it's just a party. No one asks them about their piece. They never get to meet no new people. They stand around, they're talking to their same friends that they always talk to because it's a safety blanket. Obviously they left their house for them to meet new people, to share their ideas with newer people, to make new friends or new clients, so that way they can sell more work. And I think, this is like, let's like tone down the like loud music. Play some music. We need music. We need vibes. Like, please don't get rid of that. The DJ is so important to this experience. The sounds is so important to the experience. But like, if you're gonna have performers too, like, separate it. Like, all right, cool. Hey, we're gonna have at this time from 6 to like 8 o'clock, we're going to have like a cocktail hour. We're going to have an artist conversation. And then at the end, top it off with a big music act or a DJ, and let that be the vibe, and let that be the party. Like, everyone's got their own.
And that's what you mean by separated, like time wise.
Yeah.
Okay. When you first said it, I thought you meant physically. Like,
I mean,
like have the gallery be quieter, and then like have like the room where people want to. Yeah. But I think I like the idea of having it more structured, where like you have your time to talk to people, because it is true. I deal with anxiety all the time, and a lot of my other art friends deal with anxiety. It's like artists, when they're creating, they're usually alone. Like, they're usually by themselves. So you have this type of person who works in solitude all the time, but they know if they want to eat, they have to get outside. Yeah. And so they're already, I mean, some people don't have this issue. Some people they have that switch and they're good. But a lot of artists that I've found and have conversations with, it's hard for them to network in general. So like you said, they do talk to their same friends because it is a safety blanket. And I think having the music down just a little bit, so I'm not just like yelling at this next person, being like, I use real flowers because it's symbolic, like and they're what, like, nah, that I think that makes a world of difference for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, I think there's a time and place for everything for the most part, and I think having that balance of the two, it also allows the guests that are coming to the show to choose their own adventure, because maybe they don't want maybe they just want to be surrounded by art because they feed off that energy. That's what makes them great, and whatever they're doing, whatever the craft or business or work that they do in the outside world that brings probably benefit to us as artists, they probably just want to be around that energy. They want to be around people. They want the party. They want the music. They want a little drinking. They want to like, smooge. They just want to have a good time. Yeah. I think, giving people a heads up, like, hey, from this time to this time, we're going to do this. And from this time to that time, choose your own adventure. Yeah. Like, if you want to talk to this artist and you really want to talk to this artist, take them outside. Because the anxiety thing is real. Like, I literally hear so many artists talk about anxiety and about being in a room and talking to people. And these people can talk to people, but they're like, I got anxiety. Like, I can only do this for so long. Yeah. I can only be this level 10 for that long, like, or even 8. Like, 10 might be the max. Like, 10 is like,
you get 5 minutes of me at 10, and then I'm cruising back down to a 7 for sure.
Exactly. So, yeah.
That gave me a wonderful idea for you. I'm gonna share it after. Okay. After those two things together. Okay. As an experience. Okay. I guess I just told it to you now. Yeah. I just think that's dope. I might cut it out so it's a secret. Who knows? I might not.
Yeah. Just bleep it out.
Bleep it out. Yeah. Bleep, 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 bleep. I wanted to take the conversation a different route because you are a visual artist. Yeah. As well as a designer. Yeah. My personal background is I went to school for art and design, and I double major. Can we just talk about the difference between the two? Like, what do you define art versus what do you define design as?
For me, I feel like I had this conversation recently, like where I did like a poll, like, I did a graphic artist versus a graphic designer, which are in its own world, its own two separate things. But an artist versus a designer, I see a designer as like building a capsule. Like they're organizing the information and how to display it to you. There's a lot of like designers that, I can design my type, hierarchy. I got my body copy. I got, colors separated. They're not overlapping each other. They're allowing information to be read either top to bottom, left to right, right to left, whatever, stylistic choice that you want to take. So there's like a little bit of creative freedom in there. And that goes down so many different rabbit holes of like from print to how you maybe design your space, even to like the digital world, like how you curate your grid, and how do you design your social media posts, like the copy. You want the same fonts every single time, maybe you want to do something different. Like I find like that as a designer, there's also structure, like there's grids that you follow. You can follow the same structure in art, but a lot of times it feels, then it starts to feel like the same as someone else's. And we know as art to be like a self-expression. Yeah. So like that self-expression, maybe I'm going to take that, I'm going to use the same tools that you're using, but maybe I'm going to invert it. I'm maybe going to use maybe I'll use the wood as like a tone. Like, I'm talking about maybe like I'll use your artwork as an example. Yeah. Like I'll use like the wood as one tone, or maybe I might use paint for like certain things, or maybe I might engrave something somewhere else. I don't know, or maybe work backwards or something. I don't know. But there's like so many different ways. Like I can, give you an X-Acto blade and a bunch of paper and glue, and you'll probably do something totally different than I would have done. So
I think design definitely has a lot more structure to it off rip as opposed to visual art or graphic art. Yeah, for sure, 100%. Especially when you're talking about like all the grids that you have to deal with this as a designer. Of course, there are like grids but it's just completely different. Yeah, it's completely different. Yeah. And especially when you're talking about copy, body copy, hierarchy, typography, different from visual artists and the open-endedness of that expression. Yeah. Do you use design in your art? Like has Tobar, the designer, imposed on Tobar the artist?
Yeah, 100%. Okay. 100%. I look at like a lot of my pieces as if I'm going to put that on an ad, or if I'm going to put that on a t-shirt, or if I'm going to design a product around it. Like I design a lot of my characters. I draw a lot of my characters in that way. Like, okay. Because I feel like, well, one day maybe I want to use that as the cover art for something, and I want like the title to be really bold right behind the character's head, and I want typography to fall down to the side. And I've done that with a lot of my pieces. I mean, I don't know if we said this in the beginning, but like I don't want to say majority of my art. I want to say a lot of my art is digitally done. And then a lot of my other art that I use it's the way of being a designer and being an artist at the same time. I take that art that I designed, print it out on like a vinyl sheet, or maybe I create a stencil out of it, or maybe I just take the patterns that I designed, then I rip them up and I make a new collage of things. So it's like I'm using the design tools that I have, all the design pieces, but then I'm bringing it into my art and allowing it to be now artistic.
I see.
So that way it looks really pretty and structured here and tight, but then over here, I love like the looseness of like art. I love the like seeing a brush stroke. Oh, it was like super, super sharp. And then it just like, oh, I burp. And then you like, your hand shakes a little bit. So like, you can see like a little like fidget in there. That's a moment. Like if I was like super high, I'm like looking at people's lines and like, oh shit. Like I wonder where they were going. Where were you going with this? Yeah. Versus design, it's like I can literally like Control Z and I can change my colors 1,000 times, and I might have 100 files of the same design and only show you one in an art piece. Yeah.
Wow. So, thank you for breaking that down.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mind is like going. It's crazy. So it sounds like when you create your artwork, first you leave a lot of room for it to be expanded into other mediums. Yeah. Like I want to put this on the shirt. I want to put this on the poster. I want to put this, which I think is wonderful. I think artists in today's world should do that. Yeah. I'm more so speaking towards the audience. Not at you, because you do it already. Yeah, y'all gotta get on that. Man, that makes me so curious because I feel like everything that we do as creatives, if we're sharing it with people, is marketing.
Yeah.
How important do you feel that it is as creatives to market what they do?
I might be biased, but I think it's like one of the most important things. Like, you have to market yourself. You have to market what you're doing, how you got there. It's all part of it. Like, you got to tell the story, you know, and all those marketing, your marketing of telling the story is so important. It's like from anywhere from like behind the scenes to just the communication, the variables of communication that you use to show your work.
Yeah.
Because in the end of the day, like, we're all consumers. Obviously, once you start to get way more and more expansive as and like technically, or even just like higher up on, like, as an artist, like, oh, I'm selling paintings for like $10,000 or $20,000 or $1 million, whatever. All that took marketing. Like, it all took different approaches of kind of advertising yourself to the world and placing yourself in certain shows and putting yourself certain places. That way you can resonate with the exact audience that's going to understand your work.
Yeah.
If you just put Picasso at Jay-Z's house, like, I mean, yeah, that makes sense, but you definitely know there's gonna be a Basquiat in there.
Yeah.
Like, you definitely know there's gonna be a hip hop or urban or, like, you know, like someone for the culture that's gonna be in that collection of body of work. So it's all marketing, you know. And then how do you exist after that piece is done? Like, is that a one-time piece? Like, that's what I do. Like, for me, and a lot of actually, like, the artists that I follow and designers and artists that I follow do this. Like, their pieces are not just like a one-time, oh, here, I'm on the wall one time. No, like, they put themselves on product. They choose the products that they want to go on there. They limit the products that they want out there. Like, if I'm gonna do a poster, I'm only gonna do 50 posters. So that way it's still an art piece, but like, it's a great advertising piece because now it's on someone's wall.
Yeah.
And it's easy and it's affordable to get into, versus like, I want to sell you on this like $10,000 piece.
Yeah.
But like, I have to work you up that way to
Yeah.
get to that. Like, I can't expect you just to come out the door. I mean, it happens.
It happens, yeah.
It happens.
Yeah. So
But
that's
like,
the
you know,
one. Having an art piece, it being like a one-time thing versus having something you can expand on with the posters.
Yeah.
My old boss, I used to work for an artist named Joe Breville. He seems very successful, especially when I worked there.
Yeah.
And he told me plenty of times, he was like, yo, all of my art pieces, I make more money off of the posters than it's selling. And his art pieces, his minimum price is $10,000, you know? So he's like, I made more money selling posters off of that one art piece that I sold just over time.
Yeah.
So I think it's important for creatives to, you know, not let that one item be the one item.
Yeah.
Like, find ways to expand it.
Yeah.
Whether it is a print or a poster,
Yeah.
or a T-shirt, or, you know, an album cover. Like, find other ways to expand it. And also, I will say this: I tell people all the time, everything that you do is content.
Yeah.
Like, everything that you do is content. If you are a creator and you had a show and it was like a one-day show, hopefully someone was filming. Like, or at least plan this to happen in the future. Like, film it, record it. Even if you make a piece and it sells, you can still show a time lapse of that piece being made, and that can serve as marketing for someone else to buy another piece.
Exactly.
I think people forget all the time. And like, marketing is literally just like, hey, here's a reminder, I'm still out here and I still do this thing.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. I mean, if you think about it, look at all the artists that are here and not here that we like watch their past content to see how they got to this point.
Absolutely.
That is marketing.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh shit, like, I want to be like that. I want to do that. And yeah, I mean, speaking about like album covers, like album cover art, like, I think like Revolt just posted something, and I was like, yo, why don't we talk about this more? Like, I want to know the artists behind these album covers.
Right.
Like, but not I don't want to know the photographer. I want to know the photographer. I think photographers are amazing artists, but I like physical painters or digital painters. Like, I want to know who those people are. Like, I want to know who built that font. Like, for like a lot of like our favorite album covers. Like, and talk about that. Like, that's great as a designer and as an artist. Like, that's an art form too. So yeah.
Yeah. Album art is a whole other thing. That's wonderful. He said, I don't want to talk to the photographer.
No. I want to talk to photographers.
Yeah.
It's just like, I felt like, you know, sometimes, I don't want to sound rude about this, but I do feel like there's certain aspects of the creator world that gets a little bit more attention than others.
Oh, okay.
But I also do think it's my viewpoint of how I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
So maybe from someone else, like, they're not looking at what I'm doing as like amazing, but they're looking at a photographer and their skill set as the holy grail, and then someone else might be looking at my stuff and your stuff as like, oh wow, like this is amazing, this is, you know, this is the thing I want to do, and they look at the other stuff as like, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But they all kind of make sense, and they kind of all work together.
Yeah.
They're all kind of the same thing in some way. It's just like, it's just perspective.
100%.
You know,
it's fine to have your perspective.
Exactly.
Like, it's
100%.
nothing
Please.
wrong with that. Yeah.
Please do. I want you to.
Yeah.
I don't want you to be
Yeah.
like everyone else.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, you
don't
gotta
be like
yourself.
everyone else.
Well, cool. I just have one last little thing to ask you.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would like to share or shout out, just in general? This is your opportunity to plug yourself. It was a wonderful episode. Where can people follow you?
Yeah.
Let the audience know.
All right. I want to shout out Austin, Texas. I want to shout out my family. I want to shout out Daryl. I want to shout out Contra Common of Color, Black Makers, Dawa, Shaka. I want to shout out your no.
Oh, hold up.
No. Honestly, find me at tobartakeover.com on Instagram. I want to shout out myself for showing up and doing this. Like, this is a lot of work. This is not easy. I know people that can do way better interviews than myself, and I strive to be better at being an interviewer. I look back at what I've done so far, and I'm like, oh, I gotta get better. Get better at talking and having a conversation, and this could be very nerve-wracking sometimes. You know, you're putting yourself out there. But yeah, Tobar Takeover. What else?
Which website?
That's Tobar Takeover. So everything Tobar Takeover.
Everything is
everything.
Website,
Instagram, TikTok,
Okay.
Facebook, MySpace, everything. So yeah, that Tobar Takeover, I kind of encapsulate everything. And then Toko Studios is a studio, and then Creators Who Wander is the overarching project for curation and design project stuffs. I mean, curation and art and workshop stuff, not design stuff. I think that's enough.
Okay. Well,
You'll find me.
Thank you once again for being on the show. If you did enjoy this show, please make sure that you follow, like, share, subscribe, comment, rate. I don't know what platform you're watching this on, so just do all of the things for me. I appreciate you.
Hit all the buttons.
All of the buttons.
And comment.
All of the good
Twice.
buttons.
Twice.
Yeah. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. That's today's episode.
Nice. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah. Thanks for being here.